feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank.
Hey everyone, I'm Mark Scribner, your host, along with my co-host Mike Akil of the Shrimp Tank, where book smarts and street smarts collide. We'd like to remind all our listeners that you can download this show on the shrimptank.com/Boston. We are nationally syndicated through iHeart. You can get this show basically anywhere you can get your podcasts: Google, Stitch, SoundCloud, Apple, anywhere. We are in 13 cities. We are not the Shark Tank where we actually rip companies apart. We actually get people that we care about that have some great knowledge and some interesting companies. So with that said, we have Jamins Story from MAZARINE today. It's a really cool company. One of the things, Mike, that we'll get to dig a little bit deeper into, which is not unusual for our talented entrepreneurs. Jamins stumbled across a product that was out in the universe already and realized and had a lot of questions like, this isn't working right. Why is it not better? So just being an observer and a noticer, if you will, out in the universe, saw his technology and his company's ultimate end product by just observing. So first of all, Jamins, thanks a lot for coming out today. I'm in Boston. I know both of you folks are in Florida. We have about a foot of snow today, so it's not a great day to be in Boston, but I think you guys are in a different situation. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here and good to see Micah.
Yeah, good to see you too. You know, Jamins, it's amazing. Your story is so unique, but yet so similar to when we see other successful entrepreneurs. They saw a need for something. It was something that they enjoyed, and then they kind of put their heart and soul into it, and before you know it, it morphed into a company. Tell us a little bit about the journey.
Sure, yeah. So I think like most entrepreneurs, my journey started with a problem. I'm a very avid boater. I live in Panama City Beach, Florida, so we're right on the Gulf of Mexico with great fishing, diving. We actually have a deserted island here, so it's a great place to have a boat. And I had two small children. And my problem started actually because I bought some life vests. Believe it or not, I went to a sporting goods store and bought my daughter and son each life jackets so that they can go out and have some fun out in the Gulf of Mexico there. So, I spent about $120, $130, somewhere around there. And we went out, we had our fun in the sun. We come back and, you're tired, sunburnt, just kind of ready to go home. So what ends up happening is very common. You kind of just take all these things and throw them into a dock box that would sit there next to the boat. Well, my experience was that I came back about a week and a half or so later, kind of do it all over again. And I pulled the life jackets out and they were just trashed, absolutely destroyed. And I will never forget the look my daughter gave me. She looked at me and was like, no, that's not going on. And I thought to myself, well, how unfortunate is that? I just spent all this money. They're kind of, wasted now. I would have been better off leaving them outside in the sun, but then you worry about theft. And so it kind of just said, well, pretty easy to fix it. Why don't we just get that moisture and mildew and humidity out? So it kind of started there, but the moment where it became like a true idea was again on the boat. We were going out on a dive trip, and one of the very last homes that you hit as you're going out is a big, beautiful home, a huge yard, a pool, lots of toys in the driveway, clearly a gentleman who had done very well for himself. And he had a 55-foot Italian cruising yacht, very nice multi-billion-dollar boat, or $1 million boat. And right next to it, he put this just box. It was a joke. It's like the lid was keeled over and rags hanging out. And I said to my dive buddy, who's actually my product director now, I said, can you believe that he would put that next to that? Mm-hmm. And he said, well, what else are you going to do? So that's when a whole idea started. And we kind of just started to write down, here's all the things that I think are wrong with dock boxes. And you surround yourself with smart people. And eventually you come out with a product like we have today at MAZARINE.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mark. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I was just curious about how big is the potential market for, I think there's like I was reading on your bios like a $9 billion space. I'm not sure if that's the boating industry or boating. How big do you think the opportunity is?
Just in the U.S., it's a $9 billion market. When you look at the dock accessory, the accessory market is actually the fastest growing segment of the industry. The people right now, boat owners, they're looking for things to enhance their boating experience. Mazarine offers them just that, something that solves a problem, something that adds security to what could be potentially thousands of dollars of gear in the case. And just as important, it's absolutely beautiful. It's a stunning case. As a matter of fact, a recent customer said, "You don't make boxes, you make art." That's the best compliment I've been given yet, and that we certainly feel that way.
Well, if someone's going to go to the expense of putting this name in the back of the boat, naming after a kid or whatever they are, there's certainly a vanity effect that you've been able to tap into a little bit by putting LEDs and making it a kind of a bling bling experience. But just to follow up, Micah, and I'm sorry to just because it's top of mind right now. Now you have kind of, I wouldn't say it's a unusual way, but you're in a capital raise phase, because it seems like, like any entrepreneurs, they run this challenge at some point where they put all their own sweat equity, their own money back into something. But, your industry takes capital, right? And you can go to the bank, you can go, friends and family route. But tell us a little bit about where you are in that phase of your company right now, and how you've, I don't want to call it a Kickstarter, but it's a little bit different kind of approach that you're securing some capital to take this to the next level.
Yeah, sure. So our company, like most startups, you fund for so long on your own, perhaps some just first stage believers. A lot of times that's typically friends or family, perhaps your own savings even. And you eventually get to a point where the product has proven that it has a market. And the next logical step is you want to protect that. You want to protect the work. And so what you do is typically you would go out and start hitting the street, knocking on doors, pitching, doing anything and everything to try and sell your vision. But the industry has started to move in a very interesting way. Community funding, crowdfunding has become very interesting. As a matter of fact, it took the interests of the Obama presidency when he signed into effect the Jobs Act and opened up the doors for people who perhaps are not high net worth individuals. They can be introduced to products. Perhaps they have a passion for that specific industry. Perhaps they even understand why that product is needed. And without having to dip into their 401k or take out a bunch of money in savings, they can have shares within a company for really starting at just a few $100s. And so when that opportunity got presented to me through Start Engine, based out of Los Angeles, equity-based crowdfunding is what they introduced. And it's worked out really, really well. We're just getting started. We're very happy with not only the results so far, but the team. And it's great too, because now we're a boater-backed company, is what we're telling people. Boaters, just like myself, and just about every one of my guys in the company, we're raising capital and selling our vision to people that love it. As a matter of fact, we've kind of polled some and asked, well, why did you choose to invest? The number one answer by a mile is it's just cool. It's just cool. And people believe in that. And so with modern technology and recent laws that have come into effect allowing these things to happen with SEC compliancy, but not SEC governance, has opened up a lot of doors for people just like Mazarine.
That's pretty awesome. So, I mean, if you like the product ultimately, then you could also, don't you have kind of a different tier to where if you buy in now, you also get, a discount on your box, right? Yeah,
absolutely. You can get discounts, you can get upgrades, depending on how much you would, choose to invest. It's interesting though that when you're investing, it's different perhaps from a traditional crowdfunding where all you're really doing is trying to get a discount on a price or an idea of a product. Here, as the company grows, those shares with the right moves from the leadership team can have value. And so not only are you seeing a return immediately on perhaps your Mazarine that you would order for your boat, but you also have equity in the company that can show a return as time moves on.
And what's cool about that, it seems like you also get some real-time feedback if you're tapping into, like you said, a community of boaters. you're able to leverage that knowledge and maybe different parts of this sector that you might not have considered. You're getting real-time feedback from people that are putting their own skin in the game. Is that accurate?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's one of the best things about this is right now we can go to our investors, and we can pick their brain. You know, what is it that you like about the product? When you describe it to people, what is their reaction? Do people get it? What markets, what areas should we be targeting that a product like this would happen? And these are all people that are more than happy to provide you feedback because they realize that with the right moves, they could actually see a return on the investment they put in. But there's a third aspect to it that I think is just as important. Boaters by nature are already a community. Boaters love boaters, and we love talking boats. We love being on boats. Everything about it we love. As a matter of fact, pretty much every good thing that's happened in my life has happened on or near the water. Almost every great memory I have. And I like sharing that with people. But boaters have a tendency to be a little, let's see, what's the politically correct way to say this? Well, let's just call it what it is. Boaters are kind of loudmouths. They love telling people about the new thing I got, and I got it before you. FOMO is probably at its highest peak in the marine industry. And so when you have brand ambassadors, people that have invested, they perhaps own one, have invested in one, know someone, they love telling people. And so what we're seeing now is already pretty nice organic growth happening just from one boater telling another, because it's just second nature in the marine industry.
Yeah, well, there's definitely when you can put your name on there, the vanity, thing, it taps into that aspect really great.
Sure.
Have you considered maybe making vampire boxes or something too? Because that might be another avenue for you. Just my marketing brain trying to think about, where else we can put these boxes. I have a couple people I know.
I tell you what, our cases are not small. They're a pretty decent size. They're made to stop people in their tracks. But when we premiered the product at the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show at the end of 2019, the number one question I got asked is, how many dead bodies can you fit in a MAZARINE? And we did some calculation. We got the calculators out. We dove into our trigonometry and all those fancy things, and we came up with the exact number. It's 7 3/4 dead bodies.
Maybe you can get into the next iteration of The Sopranos or something like that. Where
there you go.
Or Ray Donovan.
Yeah, what I love about that, Jamin, is just with any industry, you design a product and it's meant for the boating. But what's really cool about what you guys are doing is, this can ultimately be used in other industries, whether farming or just keeping things from the humidity, especially here in Southern Florida, right? What are some of the ways that it can be used?
So good question, Micah. So a couple that kind of took us by surprise. In Central Florida, we've actually been approached by a gentleman who owns large horse farms. And the challenge that he has is he doesn't have his horses confined to a tiny little space. They have a very large pasture. And in order to feed those horses, it's a lot of time getting them together. And the reason is because they have to keep that food dry. Yeah. And so they reached out and said, can we just set these things out in the middle of the field and put horse food in them? I said, absolutely, we can. That's just what it's there for. So that was the one that took me by the biggest surprise. More common would be pool boxes. People keep them by the pool, their home. Perhaps they'll put their family name on the front, maybe a logo or something that's important to them, maybe their children's initials, whatever it is. And there they would keep things like seat cushions, pool floats, pool supplies, things like that. And because our cases are solar powered and dehumidify the contents, it keeps them dry. And I don't know if you guys have pools, but some of those cushions and seats that they put out there can be hundreds of dollars. And I know in our case, we would always have to run outside and grab them real quick if the storm was coming. Well, now you can just put them inside the case, lock it electronically, and they'll be nice and dry the next time you use them.
Jamin, it's a great question about, you're running a business and you're getting these other applications for this product, but how much time do you put into, at this phase that you're at, thinking about verticals, and whether it be, I forget the biggest marine store, because I don't own a boat yet because I waste money in a lot of other areas. But where are the verticals and the partnerships? Like, do you consider coming into like the marine stores, or like are building a sales force and in all these different verticals? Like how are you thinking about those kinds of things?
Yeah, good question. Well, let me address the first one. A Mazarine is by nature a custom product. You will never be able to walk into a store and just get one off the shelf. It's not who we designed for. In the marine industry, it's very common. As a matter of fact, it's kind of bragging rights, like Micah mentioned. But boaters are braggers. They love custom products. They love expensive toys, and they love being able to show it off. And so when I think about, well, what are the other areas? There's still so much room in the marine space that we haven't, it really hasn't been captured yet. And so going into next year, we're going to be focusing on bringing 2 more models, each designed with a very specific boater or boat in mind, that appeals to 2 different people for 2 very different reasons, but with all of the same core functionality that you find today in a Mazarine. As it relates to other avenues that we look for in terms of distribution, I personally feel that there's 2 huge opportunities. One is working directly with boat manufacturers. Boat manufacturers, especially on the high end, which most Mazarine customers are, what they love to do is they love to customize things. And so when we think about, well, how is it that we can customize and build this even more build the Mazarine name even more? We love the synergy that could exist in us being able to build limited edition models for very, very specific boat manufacturers. And so the case there, the example would be if Micah Keel would go and visit company fill in the blank.
Lamborghini.
His custom boat. Yeah, his custom boat that
he's a Lamborghini guy. He looks like he's
a Lamborghini.
Italian.
So if Micah were to go get his Lamborghini boat, let's just say that, that they would also, with all of the bullet point lists of all the things that make their boat great, one of the things that they would be able to add to that would be, and with your boat, you get this beautiful case that is specifically designed for us. They don't design it this style for anyone else, just for us. It comes with this, and it comes with the boat. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that happened as the product started to get introduced is we realized that there was an aspect to why people like the product that I never really thought of before. A customer here locally, actually, he loved the fact that when his boat was not in the water, the brand was still there. He called it my reserve parking sign. Mm-hmm. And so he loved the fact that when he would drive up and his boat was perhaps out to sea, getting maintenance, when he drove up, he saw that boat name all lit up. And so the reason that works is, again, because boaters are very proud individuals, and many of them rightfully so. They've worked hard, have been very successful in their life. And so as we're able to give products to someone like that that's very custom, that's a great segment to go in, is into the manufacturers, creating synergy between very well-respected legacy boat manufacturers and an up-and-coming new product that no one's ever seen before, and creating that. And just shortly, the second aspect that I think is just as important is the United States market. There's enough boats here to keep a company like ours busy for decades on end. But we are only a small piece of the worldwide boating market. There's a tremendous amount of potential there. We've done a lot of investment and time and energy into locking up our IP. We feel very confident that there could be opportunity in the future for respected manufacturing companies to perhaps take the Mazarine concept and introduce it into other boating communities under licensing agreements.
Yeah, I'm glad you said, guys. That was going to be one of my next questions, because I don't know if in the space Yeti, we know it around here, but it's interesting that you locked down the IP, because I could see, Tesla tried, or I think in the early iterations when they were starting their car, they almost pivoted into just, we're going to do the drivetrain, and Volvo and everybody else is going to, use the drivetrain. But I can see some applications where, with the solar and the dehumidifier, for someone wanting to do a licensing royalty deal on the technology.
Yeah, and it gets really exciting. There's some incredible boating communities outside of the United States, Cabo San Lucas in Mexico, Monaco, Dubai has some incredible marine aspects to those locations. So there's a lot of opportunity. The number one thing we want to be cautious about with is just making sure that the quality is there. We've worked very hard to make sure that our name is synonymous with hands-on, custom-made, very high-end product. And like any agreement like that, we'd be really careful about who we would want to partner with if the time would be right. But I definitely think that the U.S. will keep us busy for at least the next foreseeable future.
Love it. I love it. Yeah. I mean, Mark, they're beautiful. Have you seen the
Yeah, no, I listen, I think they're amazing. I can tell you, I'm back here in the Northeast, and we're near ocean and Maine and all that. But every time I'm on a friend's boat, the first thing they do when they move from the dock is they take a picture of the dock, or if they want a drone picture, or, they're outside in the boat and they're taking a picture of the house with the dock, but now they could have, the name of the boat and that high end, and they do them at night too, is usually amazing, where they have, they try to light up their docks, but this is the whole experience. And I get the premium vanity stuff, but from my experience, every time I've been on a friend's boat, that's a big element of that. And definitely, it seems like in the marine space, like everything is like triple the price that it should be,
Right.
for whatever reason, because people will pay, for a line of rope that's 10 times more than they could get at the Home Depot, I guess. But no,
You're so right.
I think it's an amazing space. Now, again, the tagline of our show is where book smarts and street smarts collide. And, you're an awesome entrepreneur, and it'll be great to see your journey on this execution. But maybe we could talk about some of the challenges, if you have any, being, an entrepreneur, and some of the things that you would have liked to do over, if there are any, because, we always get to talk about, in the boating world, our wins, but, what are some of the things that, if there are any, there might not be any, that you'd say, hey, I wish I had a mentor, I wish somebody came at me and, taught me this?
Well, I'll tell you what, the show isn't long enough for me to tell you about all the things that I've done wrong. That's a long list. One of the things that for me was a challenge was I had an idea to essentially manufacture a product in a space I had really no professional network in, no experience. While I was an avid boater, manufacturing in the world of fiberglass and marine electronics was kindergarten for me. But I will say that also was kind of what made it exciting to do it, is because I hadn't done it before. I had spent about a decade and a half in travel, in the online travel business. So I consider myself pretty knowledgeable as it relates to selling other people's products, how to market them, how to assist technology and allowing people to make purchasing decisions. But when you take that into the marine space, a lot of my learning curve had to do with, well, how do I do these things? How do I make this product? How do I manufacture this product? How do I put in inventory control systems? And not only that, you tag into that no one knew my name, and I didn't know anyone's name in the marine industry. So when we premiered at the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show, we were extremely excited, and we were scared to death because we didn't know what the reaction would be. We felt very good in the product, but we didn't know. So that was definitely the biggest challenge for me. The second, for sure, has to do with the process that you have to put in place if you're going to create a product like a MAZARINE. I learned painfully at my last company that if you want something done right, you really have to do it in-house. Agencies can say a lot. That translates into manufacturing here. If you really want something done to a standard that you believe is not only acceptable, but exceeds expectation, do it in-house. I've been very fortunate to have found some very talented individuals that had the skill sets that I didn't in relation to construction, manufacturing, product design. I've been very fortunate to have a partner in my company who is very experienced in the legal aspect of things, specifically business law and IP protection. That came at a time that was very crucial because as I tell him often, the thing that kept me awake at night was, what if I wake up tomorrow and company fill in the blank has now released their version. So that was really good for me as well, to surround myself with good people. A good friend of mine, he's a CEO for a very large company. I thought he has a philosophy that when you're building a company, when you're putting people together, don't be the smartest person in the room. As a matter of fact, surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, but be the best delegator and provide the best inspiration possible. And I was able to work with him for a little while, and I learned a lot. And so I try to bring that into Mazarine. I try to bring in people that are miles smarter than I am at what it is that they're tasked to do. But what I want to do is make sure that they have the tools they need to do it. And that takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. Learning how an industry works, learning about how manufacturing, product design works, R&D, all of these things. I just found smart people. Some of them were fresh, and some of them were people that I knew and had experience with in the past. And then finally, the other challenge really has to do with resilience. When you're starting a company, there will be moments, I think really for every entrepreneur, that they will tell you that there were days where you just said, what am I doing? Like, why am I even trying? And to push through that takes a lot. You need to have a good support system. My wife is that for me, someone that I can really confide in, and she has a good way of calming me down, reminding me what the ultimate vision is. I've got two very, very close friends working with me, people that I've known for a long time. And surrounding yourself with people like that, when you get those days, when you get those moments where you just go, what am I doing?
That's great advice.
Why don't I just go get a job?
Yeah, 100%. I'd like to remind all our listeners again, you can get this show, theshrimptank.com/Boston, all the 13 cities, previous episodes of awesome entrepreneurs like Jamin is, some great knowledge. With that said, what is the best way? All your information will be right below this video. There's actually a cool video that there'll be a link right below our images, which will give you some visuals of some of the different customizations that Mazarine's been able to do. But for our listeners, what would be the best way for them to get a hold of you and to learn more about your company and that capital raise thing that you're talking about?
Yeah, sure. So our website, it's very simple. It's mazarine.co, MAZARINE. From there, you can discover the product, watch videos, testimonials, reviews, customer showcases. You can also direct yourself towards the fundraising effort that we're in the middle of there. And we're very happy with that. It's in its infancy stages, but we're excited where that's going to go. And then, of course, as you mentioned with your listeners, readers, there'll be some information there as well. We love overloading people with information about our product.
And awesome. So we're about to wrap it up, but I would just say that Micah wants KEEL in pink on his. So
okay.
If he likes to have cursive writing, so maybe you can do it that way.
Yeah, pink's a hot color in 2020, so no problem.
Awesome, Jamin. Good things. I know it's a beautiful product. I hear the buzz about it. Everyone I talk to that has seen it is just wowed. So I'm excited for you guys. I know you're going to do some great things. And check out the website because you can be a part of this growing company.
Thank you very much. Well, I've enjoyed being here, guys, very much.
Thanks for coming along. Have a great day.
Right. You too.
Take care.
I've been feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond.